Welcome to Coruzant Technologies, home of the Digital Executive Podcast.
Welcome to the Digital Executive. Today's guest is Chris B. Chris B. joined Lessen as Chief Technology Officer after leadership roles at Zillow and Uber. At Zillow, Chris led product and engineering teams focused on core real estate shopping experiences and search. He also led engineering teams for Uber for Business, launching new products including Uber Central and Uber Vouchers alongside Uber's core B2B platform. In addition, Chris led digital music platforms for mobile and web at Amazon. Well, good afternoon, Chris. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
You bet. This is exciting. Another day, another podcast. We get to invite another awesome guest to our show, add to the lineup, and we're just really excited to jump in, ask you a few questions so we can get your story out to our audience. So, Chris, jumping right in, you've got quite the career in technology as an engineer, and now you're the Chief Technology Officer at Lessen. Could you share with our audience the secret to your career growth and what inspires you?
Yeah, sure. Happy to talk about that a little bit. I think to start, career growth can be measured in a lot of different ways. There's traditional metrics like title and level of responsibility and compensation, of course. But more importantly, I think it's really key to understand who you are and define what success looks like for you, which is going to be different for everybody. And that's probably the closest thing I have to a secret, is to really spend the time to peel back the layers of the onion and really understand who you are, what makes you tick, and what type of interactions you really enjoy having, what type of projects you like to work on, what type of people you like to be around, and then distill that into what is the ideal career and the ideal path for you. I think if you can combine that understanding of what you love to do and what you're hopefully decent at or willing to get good at, along with something that pays you relatively well, you become unstoppable, right? That's like the magic combination we really want to have. So, I think in terms of career growth, defining that is one of the biggest pieces. And for me, I have a passion for developing the systems that allow engineering teams and product teams to be successful. I enjoy leading teams. I enjoy solving problems for customers. And I really enjoy working on technology problems. I enjoy the technology space. So that pointed me towards a tech leadership role. But for others, that might be something completely different. If you're passionate about design or passionate about coding or passionate about marketing or any other manner of discipline that's out there, I think understanding that at the root level and then designing a roadmap for your career, I think is super important in order to get to what is considered success, right? By your own standards. So I guess you mentioned a little bit about what inspires me. I think, technology in general is inspiring to me. And I love the idea of using technology to advance our capabilities as humans. It's fascinating to me what's already been accomplished with technology and what will be accomplished in the future. Starting with just very basic things like storing and retrieving information. In the early days, of course, the proliferation of the internet, which really democratized access to information across the world. I mean, just complete game-changing, involvement of what we were able to do as humans as the internet became more and more popular, to where we're headed, which is, and we already have to some extent achieved a lot of really interesting predictive capabilities and ML and computer-driven analysis that allows us to do really remarkable things with technology. It's just going to continue to grow and evolve. So I'm inspired by leveraging some of that and using my skills and expertise to create really amazing experiences and further capabilities as a race, as a human race.
That's awesome. And, that's kind of the sentiment, the thread that I hear from many guests on the show is, again, kind of following your bliss, finding what you like, and then the inspiration, whether it's you're passionate about the technology or making lives better for people, that simply is what really, I think, really what accelerates people's career and makes them so successful. So thank you again, Chris. Chris, let's jump into the pandemic just a tad here. We've all had to make these incredible shifts and sacrifices during the lockdown, right? But now, hopefully, we're opening back up for good. We'll see. But what are your plans to adjust and for continued business growth going forward?
Yeah, I think one of the things that the pandemic has made really clear is that remote work is here to stay, which I think on the whole is a good thing. Just like the internet gave everyone access to information, remote work has given many more people access to jobs and to opportunities that they otherwise may not have been able to participate in. So it's become a little bit of an equalizer, and there's a lot of companies that are 100% remote and even large companies that have gone in that direction, which is really interesting to see. And a lot of companies who are taking a hybrid approach. And for us at Lessen, we started during the pandemic. So the company was by default remote to begin with. So that was an interesting time to start, being that you became a remote first company, whether you wanted to or not. And that set some processes and practices in place that we still use today, just around how we work in a remote environment with sharing information and with doing a lot of written documentation and, of course, leveraging Zoom and Slack and email and all the tools we have to communicate. But we've had to be intentional about how we share information, especially as we grow and scale and evolve as a company. And we're in a position now where we've moved to a bit of a hybrid approach where we do come in the office a couple days a week, but we have offices all over the country. So it's not like we're all coming into one place. So it still is very much a remote first world with a place to go that feels like work and an office environment that is, more collaborative in nature and a place to just kind of escape the day-to-day home life, which most people enjoy. There are lots of folks that are fully remote, but we have a good amount of people that do come in the office a day or two a week just to mix things up a little bit. And, I think that's a generally good approach. And I see us sticking with that for the foreseeable future.
That's great. Good to hear that, you're supportive of that culture, but I think you're right. We have the technology now. We've had it. We just now kind of put it into place because of unfortunate events. But thank you for sharing that. So Chris, this is the big question. We're a technology publication. Like you, I'm a chief technology officer. I've served in both chief technology officer and chief information roles, but you're obviously leveraging some new and emerging technologies within your tech stack, right? Is there something that you might be able to share with us today?
Yeah, sure. I could talk a little about the tech stack and sort of what we're doing holistically. More so, I think would be interesting than the nuanced specific tech choices. That I could talk about those too. But broad strokes, Lessen is building a foundational platform that is connecting the dots of all parties in home services. So we talk about home services, I'm talking about property services. So this is maintenance, cleaning, repair, renovation, what we call turns, which is one party moving in, one party moving out between tenants. So we're connecting the dots between property owners, service professionals, suppliers, and material producers, and professional management, which is our management team, into what we call the property services operating system. So that connection with the right communication streams and timely data and data insights is really powerful. And it's never really been done quite in this way. It's a very fragmented industry and a very, I don't want to say old school, but just somewhat antiquated in a lot of the approaches industry in terms of how information is communicated and how business gets done. And it does get done, to be fair, but there's way, way more efficient ways to finish a lot of the property work and complete a lot of property work that's not being leveraged today. And that's really where Lessen comes in. So we're building that property services operating system as sort of our foundation. A lot of work has been done there already. We've seen a lot of success across a number of industries. We're growing in every sector. We've got more demand than we can handle. It's really an awesome place to be from a early stage company perspective. We just really have more sales and growth opportunities than I think any company at this stage that I've ever witnessed has had. So it's fascinating from that perspective. And then we're looking towards the future of using a lot of the data that's in this property service operating system to start to do more predictive analysis and start to really understand pricing and supply chain economics in more detail and be able to programmatically assign work through our system, through the marketplace that we have, where we have demand on one side, of course, and then supply of the actual service professionals on the other side. Be able to programmatically assign that work between the two sides of the marketplace, automate scheduling, automate a lot of the quality control, and build the right tools that all of the players in this industry need to be in a shared ecosystem that allows this work to get done a lot more efficiently than it ever has. So yeah, there's a lot ahead for sure.
That's awesome. What I've noticed just in the last few years, but especially during the pandemic, we've seen this proliferation, right? You talked about the internet. Well, now it's definitely industry 4.0 now. ML, AI is really part of that. You mentioned that predictive analysis, right? That's all coming into play now. There's just data being produced at the fastest rate in history. And us humans, right? We need some help there in order to stay competitive and make a better customer experience. So you're right on about that stuff. And that's the stuff that really juices me here on these podcasts. So thank you. Chris, last question here. Could you share something from your career experience that might be helpful for someone looking to grow their career in tech or leadership?
Sure. I think, the biggest piece of advice I would have is to build a roadmap for your career. So you know what a good opportunity looks like when you see it, right? I feel like just putting your intention out there in the universe, you're naturally going to attract more of what you seek. And not so much from a spiritual aspect, although some people, and myself included, do feel that there is some of that that's in play, but more so because when you have the intention and you've built a roadmap for where you want to go, you just naturally will gravitate towards the right kinds of conversations. You'll read the right books. You'll engage with the right kind of content online. You'll interact with the right people on social media, potentially have the right kind of conversations in your personal life. And those events will tend to lead you towards where you want to go. So if you don't have any of that defined, you're just sort of floating around in space and kind of hoping something amazing is going to happen. That's not really the recipe for success. So I think more than anything, it's having, as I talked about earlier, a clear definition and understanding of who you are and what it is that you want, and then building a real roadmap for how to get there with, reasonable expectations of how long things will take. And then just start putting yourself out there and into the right circumstances that'll lead to achieving that.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Chris. And we do have a lot of technologists and newer leaders coming into their career. They're starting to mature. And so that information is certainly helpful. And I look at it as a gem for somebody out there to take. So thanks again. And Chris, it was a pleasure having you on today. And I look forward to speaking to you real soon.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks, Brian.
Bye for now.